Today's video contains spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you haven't completed the game, I highly suggest that you do so before watching this video. You have been warned. Final Fantasy VII Remake's mysterious ending has left us with a lot of questions. Questions that have personally been driving me insane. Well, now with the Final Fantasy VII Remake Ultimania released, a book from Square Enix which contains a bunch of different details, interviews, and other stuff about the game, and clarifies a number of things. And again, thanks to user Aitai Kimochi on Twitter, thank you so much for your translation work. I highly recommend that you guys go and follow them to show support for everything that they're doing for the community. One of the biggest mysteries has been if Zack is alive in an alternative timeline. A lot of people saying that Zack isn't actually alive, there's no multiverse or anything like that. Well, this latest translation from the Ultimania seems to disagree. The translation reads, quote, "What is the meaning of Zack's victory? Shinra was on the chase for Zack, and as they surrounded him at the outskirts of Midgar, he was shot multiple times. This is Zack's last stand that was written in the original Final Fantasy VII International version, as well as the prequel game Crisis Core. However, in the remake, Zack defeats the Shinra cadets and lives on, which leads to an unforeseen development. The ending also shows Zack holding an unconscious Cloud as they pass by Cloud and Aerith, who have just escaped Midgar. What doesn't make sense about this is how is it possible that there are two different Clouds that exist at the same time? In order to make sure that the two Clouds do not recognize each other's existence, it is assumed that they should not exist at the same time in space. But aside from that, the rest is unknown. When Zack is victorious against Shinra in this scene, a picture of the dog Stamp also flies into view. But this version of Stamp contradicts the previous designs seen in the game. What could this possibly mean? The Buster Sword that Cloud uses belongs to Zack, but in this scene, they both have the same sword. If Zack is alive, then Cloud shouldn't have this sword, but oh boy. We have just opened the full can of tomatoes here. There's a lot to absorb from all this. First of all, this confirms what we've all sort of suspected, that Zack is indeed alive in another timeline. And because it confirmed that Zack is alive in that timeline, it also confirms that there are multiple timelines, which means that Multiverse Theory is indeed a thing. And because Multiverse Theory is indeed a thing, there are in fact two Clouds that exist. And because there is a multiverse working, it says that they're separated by time and space, the fact that there are two Clouds also implies that there are two of everybody else. At the very least, there are two parallel universes here, which seems to heavily imply that there is at least two of everybody, which also logically means that there are at least two Sephiroths. So yeah, Zack is indeed alive, but he's alive in a different timeline. So to address the elephant in the room, what does the existence of Zack in a different timeline mean? I see this playing out in one of two ways. The first is that this is an elaborate setup for a hypothetical Crisis Core 2, which would mostly serve as fan service to allow you to imagine what would happen if Zack actually lived. The other possibility is that we'll see these two universes sort of overlap, and somehow this will end up with Zack in the current timeline that our main characters are in, and you'll just have Zack with pretty much everyone else. And to be honest, that's probably going to rub a lot of people the very much wrong way. This would also very much contradict what Kitase was saying about FF7 playing out as it normally would. In my personal opinion, Zack being able to cross over into this timeline would pretty much change the entire course of Final Fantasy VII's direction. If that happens, it's literally impossible for it to be the same story. Whether that becomes a better story or a worse story, I'll leave that decision up to you. So Ultimate Weapons, I want to know, where is all of this going? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying my content, please be sure to check out the Patreon for the Night Sky Prince, where people like Starbuck Long are my pillar of support, and help me continue to make all of these Square Enix, Final Fantasy, and JRPG videos. So if that's something you value, be sure to check the link in the description below. Shout out to Starbuck Long and the rest of the Ultima community.